Hello. This is my speech on listening and evaluating speech for Module 3 in Communications class. My name is Corey Cook-Williams. The speech that I chose to watch for this module was Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream. I chose to watch this particular speech because I know it was very important and influential to the civil rights movement, and I had not watched it before. Another reason that I chose to watch I Have a Dream is because I know the content still speaks towards a lot of issues with equality in groups of people that still ring true today. In my presentation, I will go over the content and meaning of I Have a Dream, the body language the speaker exhibited during the speech, and what distraction I had to overcome while listening. Before I watched this speech, I had heard parts of it used in commercials, documentaries, etc., as we have all. And I knew that it was for the civil rights movement. The speech was very powerful. You could tell in Martin Luther King's voice, with its strength and projection, how strongly he felt towards the cause and the words he used to support them. Prior to the legal changes made after the civil rights movement, African Americans could not vote, they could not have the same housing, education, or work opportunities as Caucasian people did in society. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about segregation in society and the unfairness in the things that African Americans were subjected to, that they were still not free because of segregation. He spoke about police brutality and how he thought that the civil rights movement could happen with peacefulness and without violence. He had a dream of people treating each other as equals regardless of their physical appearance, that people would be judged on the actions they took, and that people could be friends with each other, and there could be a harmony amongst all people. I admire what he did, because it was very dangerous, and he did it anyway. As we know, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. Even though Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, his avalanche for social change continued. The following legal acts were passed because of the work he accomplished, because of his very famous I Have a Dream speech. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. This banned the discrimination in employment and public accommodations based on race, color, religion, or national origin. The Voting Rights of 1965. This allowed people that were African American to vote again. The Immigration and Nationality Services Act of 1965. This allowed other groups besides traditional European groups to immigrate into our country. The Fair Housing Act of 1968. This banned housing discrimination for people to buy houses or rent houses. I got this information from What Did Martin Luther King Do to Progress the Civil Rights Movement, retrieved from www.biography.yourdictionary.com. As what was said in his speech, he had a very strong presence. His voice projection showed his compassion and sincerity toward the cause of civil rights. He did not falter regardless of how excited the audience became. And at the end of his speech, he held his fists in the air and shook them with a sense of victory. This event was held in front of the Lincoln Monument, symbolic of the change that started with the abolition of slavery because of Abraham Lincoln. Even though the civil rights movement was able to make great progress the people still struggle with a lot of these issues today. This is another reason why the words of Martin Luther King Jr. are important to listen to. I believe, as he does, that everyone, regardless of the color of their skin, deserves the same chance to be successful. I think Martin Luther King would be proud of the people that still pursue his dream today. In regards to listening to this speech, the distractions that I faced were the ones I face every day. My daughter is 4 years old and she has a disability. She finds everything that I do very fascinating and does not understand that some of the things that I do cannot involve her. Another thing that I often struggle with is my own difficulty to pay attention because of thinking about other things that I shouldn't be. But this is not something that I had to deal with while listening to the speech because it was very engaging. So I can conclude from all of this that being a great public speaker can really have a good impact on society. It has been many years since Martin Luther King Jr. presented I Have a Dream, and yet here we are today still listening to it. He will live on in history with the power of public speaking and the social change that he was able to accomplish because of it. Thank you.